We have tried it, and I think where peacemaking has the potential in every case is when the conflict, the event that comes through the doors, the people who have affected an ongoing relationships. At a minimum, we have to be considering when they go out that door, what have we done in this process to help heal that as opposed to continue to exacerbate the harm. So whenever we have ongoing relationships, obviously we need to take a look at that. Now, when individuals are so out of balance in between because they haven't asked themselves those daily things, and they are bent on harming others, then we need the current system to corral that behavior and to protect them and others. I acknowledge that. But if that individual can be reached, and we can reach that balance, we have the responsibility to make sure a path is open for that to happen. That is our collective responsibility to the individual. Everybody talks about accountability. Absolutely, we are accountable for our actions. But we are collectively accountable to each other, too. So, we have tried it, and successfully. You've heard a few stories in probate court, elder care, domestic relations, civil disputes, property disputes, neighborhood relations, a couple of different, what could have been charges, misdemeanors, that type of thing. But we've always felt from the beginning where the greatest work that can be done is with our youth. With our youth. Many times those involved in the juvenile justice system see two separate tracks far too much mutually exclusively. One, juvenile delinquency. The other, child protection, neglect, and abuse. We do see the events, the why behind the why. We do see events happening that bring the same youth or families in on both of those tracks. There are things that we know in terms of disconnectedness and the damage it does to youth when we rip them away from their families and their communities and their support and put them in strange situations. We know that has disastrous results. The work of our Native communities and the effect of our governmental policies on our Native communities has been the canary in the coal mine. We know the disastrous effects that has. We live in a system here in this state today, like the rest of the nation, where 60% of the children, if they are not placed in a home and come out of the graduate out of the foster care system without that reconnectedness with someone who cares and loves and nurtures, 60% of those children in this state and this country end up in one of three ways within a year. Homeless, incarcerated, or dead. 80% of the people in our prison system across this country have been in foster care. So we know the impact and the harm that can cause if we don't bring our best selves to that. Juvenile delinquency. Every day I walk out of my door into the hallway and I see far too many young people in orange suits and shackles being led into my colleagues' adult courtrooms to be sent off to prison. And as Ms. Edwards-Brown and I were talking about, we just put them in that garbage bag as Kate was talking about, and they're throwaway human beings. And the ripple effect when you see the people crying in the hall and their families, and little kids watching that happening, you see the ripple effect on that. You see the fear that's portrayed on the media every single night. We aren't supposed to trust each other. God, how are you going to love somebody if you're all full of fear about the person who might be right next to you? See the damage of that. I think every youth that we can keep out of that system, my God, if it's 1 out of 100, it's worth the effort. It's worth the effort. So delinquency, neglect and abuse. We need to help in the neglect and abuse side. We need people from our community to be the support to help those parents who are struggling, to address those barriers, to get them through it. We need help from our community for those youth who are already traumatized, who are already frightened, to get through the experience. We need help from our community to help every youth who has been charged in the delinquency side of the portion, to help them understand the ripple effect of their decision-making and the consequences that face them if they continue to make those poor choices. Javonda Palmer read from one of our youth in our delinquency side. I read an apology letter just last week on our delinquency side. And the letter said, I realize that everything I do has an effect on others. I realize now that what I do can either do good and help people, or what I do can hurt people. I never even thought about that before. So, we need help there. On the neglect and abuse side, we don't control who comes in the doors in the courts. All we can control is what we do in the process to try to send the people who come through back out in as healthy way as we can. We do that with humility because every time it doesn't work, we look at ourselves kind of like Bill Thorne, the great advocate, said we should be approaching judges. He was both a state judge and a tribal judge. So we should be approaching whenever we fail in terms of helping a youth, we should approach it like we just lost a patient on the operating table. What could we have done? What else could we have done? We lost that. Recommit ourselves with greater vigor to those who are still alive and still have hope. On the reunification side, we don't control who comes in the door. The petitioner who comes and asks for relief from the court and asks us to say there's two paths. Children aren't safe, and Judge, we ask you to terminate the parental rights of this parent so this child can be put up for adoption. We can find a safer home for it. And those cases are really more like a criminal case. It's asking for the loss of a liberty interest. It is an adversarial process. It has to be presented in an adversarial way. And so the role of the judge at that point is to follow the law, hear the evidence, apply the law, and have the result happen and have an appellate record. I understand that. Not much we can do with peacemaking there. Maybe afterwards to try to help a parent that's lost their child just get through it. But 80%, maybe as high as 90% of the cases coming through the door, the stated goal is reunification. The stated goal is not to terminate the parental rights, but to help the parent overcome the barriers that caused the situation in the first place, and to reunify that family. Well, if that's the stated goal, that's just like the exercise we went through. We have the common goal, like the common value, and we have all of these people around the table who may have different perspectives of how to achieve it. But we listen to each of those perspectives and we decide how do we collectively help that happen. This community needs to be in those circles all the time, between every single court event. This community needs to be an equal in those circles. That's why we have set up a designated docket with referee Butterwick, who has her background in this training, to make sure that we do whatever we can to do it in those. On the delinquency side, we need help there too. We need help there too. Ms. Edwards-Brown, who has spent her entire lifetime devoted to this work, has promised me she will stay another 10 years with me. And that's the one who's heading it up on that delinquency side. I'll open it up for questions to all the fine people that are involved in this work. Let me just say how privileged I am to live in this community with all of you and to have this chance to do this work together.